Who has the best Black Templar recipe? So for a faction whose armour is just black, you'd think it'd be very straightforward and simple, but it turns out there's a lot of different ways to paint it. And I feel like every YouTuber and every channel has their own individual way. So I thought it'd be really fun this week if we find out whose is best. So down here I've got 5 Crusaders all primed up and ready to go in, as you notice, different ways. And I thought it'd be fun if we take some recipes from different YouTubers and find out which one of them's the best. So we're going to go through today. I've got recipes from Duncan Rhodes at Painting Academy, Eons of Battle, Medicore Hobbies, Homeworld Hobbies, and then also one from a comment for one of my videos last week. So let's take these 5 Crusaders and try and find out what is the best Black Templar recipe. Alright, so here we are, 5 different Crusaders with 5 different recipes. So I guess if we start with the one I am most excited for, and that is the Eons of Battle recipe. So basically, to start off, we have a black undercoat with a white zenithal. So you notice if you look under in there, yeah, we've got some nice sort of like dark shadows. And the basis for this recipe is actually a mixture of a few different colours, which is what I'm so excited to do. So it's a mix of Black Templar contrast, Levidon Blue, and then some medium, just to try and water it down. I'm going to try and mix all these colours for the first time ever, so I'm sure this will go horribly wrong. And then after that, he also does some sponging of some chip damage of silver. So I guess I'll grab the gunmetal, just gets a little sponge and like sponges it on so the armour looks chipped and damaged. And honestly, that's that. So yeah, let's crack this one out and see how that looks. Oh, so there's a little Levidon Blue Black Templar medium super kind of mixed it on this palette and applied it on, and you know what, I really like that colour. Man, he's onto something with this. The application's a little bit patchy, but I think that's just because of me. My contrast application needs a little bit of work. But it's okay because, yeah, like I said, this looks incredible, man, yeah. He knows his stuff. This is a really nice colour. So next up, I say next up, it's actually the only other step for this base armour. It's just get some silver and a sponge and just sponge it on some chip damage. So yeah, we've just got a little bit of a sponge, then we're just going to try and like chip on. Essentially, it mentions to sort of go over like some of the edges, like this knee here. This is almost like your edge highlight, just sort of like a bit of chip damage, although I think there's a little bit too much on this sponge. Hopefully as we use it, some of it will come out. Oh wow, there's way too much. Oh no! Can we sponge some of it off? Okay, maybe I put a little bit too much on there. Let's see if we can tap some of it off. Oh, and there we have it. How much does that come up on camera? Yeah, you can kind of see on the knee there, on the arm. Oh, it's really nice, yeah. I'm a big fan of that, you know. This was definitely a lot harder than I thought, the chipping of the sponge, you know. I thought it'd be quite easy, because I've done it on tabards before with dirt. But no, I think getting a nice amount of silver on there, and it doesn't immediately show up, so it's kind of hard to see how much you put on. But no, yeah, like on that little panel down there, maybe a little bit too much, actually. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see the silver on the grey sometimes. But that's nice, I really like that, wow. Okay, okay. I mean, I'll be really interested to see what it looks like when all of the colours are on, because it already looks incredible so far. I mean, obviously it's my favourite because it's the only one we've done, but man, that's going to be hard to beat. I really like that colour. So that was a nice, quick and easy sort of application, which I guess is a strength of that recipe, is it only took us a few minutes to slap it all on. Next up, I want to do the Duncan Rhodes sort of heavy metal approach, because that's going to be like a bit of a chunkier one. So yeah, this is a more traditional sort of heavy metal recipe where we're going to do a base coat of Abbadon Black just all over the armour panels, and then we're going to apply a varieties of highlights and stuff. So we'll start off with the Abbadon Black and then go from there. Oh, so there's just a, well, 2 coats of Abbadon Black over all of the armour. I did chuck some white on the shoulders as well, just when I was there, it's part of the workflow. And I always forgot how much work this is to put in like 2 layers of like a base paint, because I've been using contrast for so long. That's like nice and quick and easy, like, but yeah, man, I forgot how much like work it is just lathering on it everywhere. I mean, even now I'm looking around in this sections, I'm like, oh, missed there, but we'll tidy them up as we go. So yeah, so we'll do a chunky highlight of Dark Reaper over all of the edges, like a complete total edge highlight everywhere with this small layer brush. And after that, we'll grab the size 00 and do like an edge highlight of Dawnstone over some of the like upper facing areas. Oh wow, okay, I remember now why I don't edge highlight everything all the time. That took forever. Oh my god. I will say though, there's been a definite improvement on the edge highlighting. There we go, that's always better. Yeah, look at that. There's so much. And you know what? As much as I hate to admit it, it does look pretty good. I mean, we still got one more layer of Administratum Grey, but that's just for spot highlights. But yeah, annoyingly it does look good, but man, it takes so long. Sweet, and there we have it. 3 different layers of edge highlighting, and yeah, at a first glance it's good. I really like that collar. And one thing I will say as well is that I've forgotten how nice it is to have the backup plan of Abbadon Black to like tidy it up. So yeah, it's nice to have that because I sort of went around and just tidied up a couple little patches and areas where I was a bit messy. But no, annoyingly, it's good. Kind of wish it wasn't though, because it takes so long. Like I couldn't imagine doing like 5 Crusaders just doing that for ages. But moving on to this next one that I am super, super excited about. Let me just grab the paint and I can make a start on it while we talk about it. So this, you'll probably be thinking, why the hell is this all silver? And yeah, it does look a bit weird, but it's quite cool, you know, super metallic and shiny. So what this is actually from Medicore Hobbies. So this is the way he does his Black Templar recipe, as I lather on some Black Templar contrast to sort of spoil it. He does 2 undercoats, so 1 coat of Chaos Black and then 1 coat of Leadblecher all over, and then he applies some Black Templar contrast over all of the armor panels, and he mentions to lather it on really thick and heavy and let it sort of just sit on there. And then after that, similar to the Eons of Battle recipe, you dry brush on some silver. No sponging, just dry brushing. So we're just going to do that. We've done the 2 undercoats already of Chaos Black and Leadblecher. Then we just lather on 1 coat of Black Templar contrast. And I will say, this was actually a little behind the scenes thought process. This model and this recipe is the whole reason why I actually did this video. It's because I was looking for a way to paint a Redemptor Dreadnought, because obviously my recipe for Black Templar is just the contrast paint, and I used contrast on the Impulsor I did a few months back, and it did not go well using contrast on big flat vehicle panels. So I was like, right, how do I paint a vehicle Black Templar? And then I found Medicore Hobbies video where he does this, but on a Redemptor Dreadnought. So he just sprays it all with Leadblecher and then uses Black Templar contrast on big flat panels. And I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that, because yeah, like when I did it on the Impulsor, it was a little bit pants. So I thought to myself, you know what, let's try this recipe out on just a little dude, just a little Crusader, and then we'll see how it turns out. And then if it looks okay, we can risk it on the Dreadnought. And I thought, you know what, if we're going to do that, we might as well try out a couple different recipes. So here we are. It's a little behind the scenes of how we got to where we are today. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, that. I do like that. That's cool. I like how the Leadblecher catches on some of the edges, like down here, some of the shoulder pads, some of the knees, and also like it's kind of splashed onto some of the armor panels a little bit, but it's quite nice. It has that sort of like almost chip damage-esque look, like the Eons of Battle one. Also, I will say, big fan of how quick and easy it was. Like it was just, yeah, the undercoats, some contrast, and then dry brush. So if you're in a bit of a rush or you've got lots to paint, this might not be a bad shout. So this final guy, the recipe we're going to follow for this actually comes from one of my comments on my last week's video. So last week I tried doing a Dark Reaper dry brush and then contrast over the top. And then second round 1447 mentioned in the comments that usually you want to dry brush a lighter colour so it catches the raised areas. So we're going to give that a try. So we're going to dry brush over some. Tell you what, let's go to the opposite. I was going to say Corax White and then we can highlight it with some White Scar, but actually I want to go to the bit of an extreme. And yeah, just straight up White Scar, dry brushing over everything, and then we'll apply the Black Templar contrast and see how that looks. So yeah, this is the white dry brush and then the Black Templar on top, and again, yeah, I think it's the same as like every time I've tried putting a dry brush and the Black Templar on top. It's just that sort of dry brushing underneath we did has kind of just faded into the darkness that is Black Templar contrast. Yeah, I don't know if maybe I'm not putting enough dry brushing on or the Black Templar is just so dark. I think I need to give up on this sort of dream of, yeah, like putting a dry brush underneath for the base coat anyway, because I will say the tabard down the front looks unreal. That looks so cool with the dry brush over the top. So does the belt. Like there are some nice defined like shadows and whatnot and highlights already, and we haven't even put any colours on. So I will say this tabard does look nice. Cool, so there's all the armour done on our 5 Crusaders, the various different YouTube recipes, and yeah, I still can't go over how different like black armour can look. You think it's just black, it's like one dark shade, but the whole point of this video was to look into how all these different like recipes and whatnot look with black armour, and yeah, it's crazy to see how deep the colour black goes for armour. So next up we just need to put on the details, so like the chest aquillas, the shoulders, weapons and tabards, I think that's it, like belts. What I want to do is use the same detail colours on all of them, so the same Zandri Dush, Balthasar Gold, Corax White, just because the whole point of this video and this test was to see armour colours and like see how the armour looks. So I want to try and keep all the other stuff quite uniform so we can really analyse the armour and be like, if they have Balthasar, Corax, Zandri Dush, how do these two armours look? So it'd be give us a good representation across the different armour types. Oh boy, I mean, look at the state of this desk. I forgot how much I'm not great at painting these shoulder pads. It's mad because I absolutely love the Black Templar. Like, look at this model, like the coolest thing. Huge sword in the air, tabard, everything. Same as this guy, like running, grabbing his sword. I absolutely love them. But man, these crested shoulder pads are a nightmare to paint. It's funny because I mentioned I want to do the same stuff on all the details across all these models so we can compare the armour to make sure we get an accurate representation of what base armour looks like. And then I've just completely gone against that with the shoulder trim. So what I wanted to try was a recessed shade of Agrax Earthshade on the shoulders. This is because it's something I've seen like Duncan mention. I did it on my Blade Guard Veterans. It looked good on the shield, so I thought I'll try it on the shoulders. Tried it on this dude, and I'm not a massive fan of it. You know, it's okay, but it's very, I don't know, like grimy in your face, looks a bit obvious. So I thought, let's try Nuln Oil. It might add that depth and be a little bit more subtle. And that's like kind of okay. It's done the job. It's had a bit of depth. It's quite subtle. I do think this is the best. But then also I remembered that Eons of Battle does use Skeleton Horde in some aspect on his shoulders. And I was like, you know what? Let's just try and put a bit of Skeleton Horde in there. And this is probably the worst of the lot. I'm not a massive fan of this. Although I guess this could be down to personal preference. So maybe let me know in the comments, do you prefer any of these recessed shading like Nuln Oil, Agrax Earthshade, Skeleton Horde, or even just none? So quickly going to bash out the belt and then the tabard as well, I reckon, yeah. I will say I am just doing these silver on the belts. I've done the base coats and the highlights and stuff. I'm just filling in some of the rings and the belt buckle. And also I thought, you know, while I'm at it, I will do some of the silver on the backpack and flush out all the colours. And yeah, this has taken a while. I will say this dude, they had a coat of silver put on him before anything else. Maybe he's going to win just so I don't have to do any silver. Like, I've done 2 of the boys. I'm just on the 3rd, and I'm like, this is taking quite a while, like half an hour or so, putting all the silver on. And I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, it's all done on him. But no, shoulders all done. The belt's all looking good and normal. Nice highlight and depth. I do like these grimy belts. And then the tabards. Do you know what? I am super happy with some of these tabards. Like, especially this one's one of my favourites. And then, what's the other dude? I mean, this guy is good. I mean, they're all good, to be fair. I'm really happy. So, where do we go from here? All that's left, really, is just a couple trinkets. Like, this guy's got a purity seal. This guy's got some candles on his back. Yeah, so a couple trinkets here and there. And then the weapons as well. So they've got like some guns. All these guns will be Khorn Red. This will be like Khorn Red and some Rune Lord's Brass or something. Cool, so there's just all of the Khorn Red weapons with some nice chunky Mephiston highlights and then edge highlights of Evil Sunz. Looking pretty good, you know? Quite a nice recipe. Actually, sorry, I do Khorn, then Nuln Oil. Yeah, and then the highlights. And yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I kind of wish the guns had something down the side though. Similar to, I guess if I grab one of my old Terminators. God, this is a throwback. But yeah, they've got like a cool insignia down the side of the gun. I just think it'd be cool if, like, you know, these had something, because they're quite like nice long weapons. Maybe I might chuck a, oh, actually. Oh, 1 second. Let me go to my little box of pre-painted bits, you might know what's coming. Can I stick a purity seal on there? That does look a bit mad. What if I do it like an angle though? You know, like this. Oh, I might do. Yeah, okay, tell you what, we'll do that at the end. Oh, here we go, behind this white piece of card. Look at that, 5 whole Black Templar Crusaders, all done in one video, and yeah, 5 different recipes, and this is yeah, this was a blast. This was really good on so many different levels. One thing it wasn't good for though is I don't know how do I show off 5 at once? I haven't got enough space on the camera. I guess if we quickly go through the base armor one at a time. Tell you what, let's start with the lightest going to the darkest. So yeah, the most stark obvious thing you see is this dude here. So yeah, this was the Eons of Battle recipe where he makes his own sort of contrast mix of Levidon Blue, Black Templar, and some mediums. And do you know what? It's really cool. It's so different. I like how light it is. I do think one of the issues with this model is I didn't follow Jay's recipe to the T for everything else. Like, he leaves the Aquila, like the white grey Xenophil. I think he painted the weapons like yellow, and then the tabard is like skeleton horde, stuff like that, and the shoulders aren't white, there's something else. And I do think that fits the armour more. Because yeah, one of the issues here is like the armour's quite bright and light and grey, which looks incredible, but then I've got that big dark sword, the dark gun, the dark Balthasar, so it's kind of a bit clashing, you know. So what I wish I could try this again on like some more, but I've actually just used all my Crusaders on this video, which is wild. So yeah, and maybe in the future if I get more, I'd like to try this again, but like stick to his recipe of lighter details. One thing I do absolutely love about this recipe though is the chip damage. So if we grab the knee, I don't know if it'll come up on camera, but yeah, the sponging of like the silver went a little bit too hard in some sections, like back there. But that side panel looks really good. Yeah, like the armor's just been chipped away and you can see like the silver underneath. I absolutely love it. It's so cool. So next up we've got, this was Medicore Hobbies. So this was the one I was most excited to try out because if this looks okay, which I think it does, I can use this on the Dreadnought that's coming up. Not coming up soon, it'll be a while, maybe like November, December time. So basically he paints a Dreadnought this way, so a Leadblecher undercoat and then Black Templar on top. And I just wanted to make sure, you know, does that look okay? It sounds a bit, not something I've tried. And it does, it looks really good, you know. I will say it's just a little bit too dark for my liking, but that's just a personal preference. It does look really cool. I do like the big, proper metallic, heavy darkness on these like shins there. Oh, I can zoom in actually, 1 sec. So yeah, I actually thought it'd be a good idea to have, this one here is basically the Hobby Homeworld recipe, the one I always do, which is Black Templar, dry brush of Russ Grey, Nuln Oil. So yeah, I thought actually, you know what, it might be good just to have one of these up front standing just for comparison, because the point I was going to make is, on my recipe, I like that it's a bit of a lighter black and that lighter highlights, whereas on this recipe, it's a very heavy black, very metallic, very dark, and very smooth, I will say. You can kind of, that Leadblecher kind of comes through a little bit. You can kind of get that sort of metallic-y feel in the armour. And I do like it. It looks really, really cool. I just think it's a touch too dark for my personal preference. But I will say this recipe, A, was really quick. Just 2 layers, absolutely great. So if you're looking for like a quick recipe, I can't recommend this enough. Especially if you're looking at this model and like, you know what, I like that big, dark, heavy vibe. And then also, just the undercoat of silver was a dream. Oh my god, like, so look at these chains on this arm, and even the gun, all the little silver parts and the backpack. I was just like, don't have to do them. They're done. It was so nice. But yeah, putting down the Leadblecher base and the Black Templar over the top has made, a real interesting, like, heavy black look. And then there was some dry brushing of Leadblecher afterwards to make, again, some chip damage, like on that little panel there. But yeah, this recipe, like, absolutely no faults in it technically. It's just a personal preference. I don't really like the armour that dark. And then moving on to, I guess we'll stick with the YouTuber recipes. We've got Duncan Rhodes and his, essentially it's just the heavy metal recipe, which is heavy on the edge highlighting. It's just about Abbadon Black over all the armour, and then a whole bunch of greys like Dawnstone, Administratum, and Dark Reaper. And this is okay. Yeah, I think for me, I think similarly to the Medicore Hobbies, I think just the blackness, I'm like, I kind of like it to be a little bit more than just plain black. I don't think the edge highlights add enough for me to like differentiate it from being like just a big blob of black. I don't think that's the problem with edge highlighting. I think that I'm just not good enough at edge highlighting. Like, that angle's quite good, that shot, just looking at the camera. Like, I do think it is a big improvement on some of our previous edge highlighting, especially when we first started. And I do like it, it's quite cool. It is really rewarding to do edge highlighting, I find. Like, when it gets really nice, like, again, that knee, the side panel, especially on that collar. One thing though, actually, I will say, I wasn't a massive fan of, what was it, Dawnstone and Admin Grey. Dawnstone and Admin Grey, I do definitely prefer, when this camera focuses, I do prefer the bluey ones, like the Thunderhawk, the Russ Grey, the Fenrisian Grey. I think I do prefer them. It's just like a nice stark colour against the black, you know. When it's like grey on black, it's a bit meh, it kind of blurs in, whereas when you've got that sort of, that Russ Grey, Fenrisian, Thunderhawk mix of like colours, it looks good. I like how it pops. So yeah, I do like this recipe. It's kind of cool. The only issue with this, though, actually, the complete opposite of the Medicore Hobbies one, man, it was time consuming. It took ages to, like, 3 layers of edge highlighting was a lot. A little bit of an issue with this guy. But I mean, to be fair, Duncan does say that you can just stick with the first edge highlighting and keep the second and third layers, like, just for your characters or your special models, because, I mean, he's got a point, to be fair. And I think I do that also with my recipe. So this guy was just Russ Grey, nothing else. But when it comes to stuff like the Crusade Ancient last week, the Execrators, stuff like that, the fancy models, that's when I start getting out the Thunderhawk Blues, the Fenrisian Greys, and really sort of add loads of highlights. And then last but not least, this recipe was basically kind of like slap chop. So I undercoated it with grey, dry brushed a whole bunch of whites onto it, and then put Black Templar contrast over the top. And this actually came from a YouTube comment on my last video. Yeah, second round 1447, they mentioned that you want to, if you're dry brushing, it wants to be lighter than the colour underneath. So I did a grey and then dry brush of white. But again, similarly, I think the Black Templar just dwarfs like any sort of dry brushing you did underneath. Like, there is some, again, on that side panel, a bit back there and a bit on the leg, like some of that white dry brushing has come through, but like, it's not as prominent as I like. It's kind of just a bit plain. I think I need to put this sort of dry brushing underneath the Black Templar to rest, I think I need to give up on it. But yeah, not much to say in this one, just a bit flat, just a bit all black. Cool, and yeah, here they are, all 5 lined up, and yeah, this was a good spread, I do think I still want to stick with my recipe. It feels a bit like egotistical, I don't know, a bit to be like, oh look, I tried all these other people's, but mine's just better. But I don't think it's better, I just quite prefer it. I think I spent enough time with Black Templar that I know sort of A, what I like, and B, sort of a good amount of time and effort to put in. But no, I mean, you can let me know in the comments if there's any you prefer, if you like any of these, or if there's actually another YouTuber who has better recipes. I'd be keen to know and look into more. So there we have it, 5 different recipes tried out on the Black Templar to see which is best, and yeah, I think I found the one I like. And again, it sounds a bit egotistical, but it's the one I've done, But I think that's because I've done so many Black Templar. I just had to look and check, so it's 5, 10, oh my god, I'm 10 Crusaders now, wow. That seems like a lot. No, yeah, now that I put it like that, I didn't realise I've done so many. So 10 Crusaders, 4 Neophytes, a sword brother. I've done 20 plus like Templars now, so I do think I've had enough like reps under my belt and experience to know like what I like. I've tweaked it enough. I've done little changes here and there. I've put in the reps. That's not to say they're perfect though or done. There's still things I want to try and improve on them. And that's the thing with this video that I really enjoyed actually is I might not use the whole recipes from each one. There's definitely elements where I'm like, this was really cool for this recipe. I'm just going to rub it and try it out, like the sponging. I like to get some real good like reps in with edge highlighting from the Duncan Rhodes one. And then, yeah, like the Mediocre Hobbies one was really like, it was good with the Mediocre Hobbies one as well to see you can get a really cool thick metallic black armour with like the dry brushing of the Leadblecher looks really good. And yeah, going forward, I do want to try that on vehicles. But yeah, it'd be cool going forward, even if I don't use those recipes, just to incorporate various things. And it was a super fun experience. I forgot how much I enjoy painting, like just your random like normal infantry dudes. Because I've been doing Sword Brothers, Execrators, Crusade Ancients, Head Takers, Sword Blade Guard Veterans. I've been doing some heavy boys recently. Wow. And yeah, going back to just doing like just a little Aquila, a little Purity Seal, I'm like, it's nice. What I also love about these Crusaders is I didn't fully complete them, so there's like still some Purity Seals, little details, some relics to add on. It was just like it was taking a lot longer than I thought, so I was like, I'll just do the bare minimum, like the basics, and I can like tart them up later. And that's one thing I like is you can go back and keep improving them. So it's good, big fan. But thank you for watching, and if you were a big fan of this video, as always, drop a like and subscribe, and tune in next time. Bye!